Okay, so before I try to put my little stacker in its nice little cabinet, I wanted to lay it out across the table here and get some corrections, advice, input on what goes where, what's nano-coated, what's not, where the neutral goes, the hot wire, many things that I don't understand previous to these moments, but there's always room for growth, right? So, there's a couple of schematics, I guess you call them, that I printed out from Kesha Foundation. I'm looking at this one as a possible because at least it has the breaker in it. It didn't have the capacitors in it, so I got a little piece of paper and put them in there. My question is which way the capacitors go. So that's the way I've got them at the moment. If somebody can give me some input on that, which way the positive and the negative goes. Okay, if I've got them lined up correctly, or they need to be that way. I have no clue other than I'm following the flow of the electricity. So the flow goes from negative to positive, so I'm assuming it's going that way. This picture has the neutral going through our MagRav unit, which I don't think it's supposed to. There's no way for it to do that, so I just drew it around it because that's the way most of the other pictures go. And also this has the neutral going through the breaker. My breaker doesn't seem to have any other holes or connectors on it, so I assume that this is just going to kind of go around the breaker. There's also this one. I put it upside down because it's got the AC power on the same side as this one does, and that kind of makes it look almost the same. So this one looks maybe the closest to that one and what I've got set up so far. It didn't have a breaker in there, so I stuck the breaker in there. The resistors, I don't know what they're doing. It's got it connected to the neutral as well as the hot wire, which doesn't make sense to me for some reason. So anyways, this is the way I've got that hooked up over here, and the breaker here. The other thing I'm not sure about is whether the hot wire goes in the top of the stacker. I think so, because that's the entry, correct? And then it goes down through the top one, the middle one, and the bottom one, and goes out the bottom of the stacker. I'd like some input on if that is correct. And that's out the bottom there, if I understand that correctly. So over here, I bought this little outlet that says it's 15 amps. Right now I have the, oh, I should probably start at the other end, right? Because that's the way the energy moves. So here's the power monitor, which will go in the wall. Here's a connector. I got one that has the 3 prongs. Not sure if that's correct. The alligator clips I have thus far to show that the hot wire will go from the wall plug into the breaker somewhere. Not sure about the breaker. He has a hole at the bottom and a hole at the top. I don't see anything labeled, so that would be another Google search unless somebody's got some input for that for me. I ended up with a 20 amp one. I know there's other ones, and I can go back and get the 15 if that's what's needed. I have a hot regular wire on this side, and then I've got a nano wire on this side because it's going to the capacitors. So I'm not real sure about that, if it needs to be a regular wire or a nano wire. And then I haven't put my capacitors together yet, but this is them just kind of laying there so I can figure out which way to hook them up. That's my understanding of how the flow is through the capacitors, but I'm not sure if I need to be putting this project this way or this way. If I can get some input on that. That's my current understanding because it goes from negative to positive, I guess. And then this is a nano-coated wire that's going to go to the top of my stacker, into the entry negative point, down through this one, whoosh, whoosh, and then up through this one, whoosh, whoosh, and I guess it goes down to the next stacker, and whoosh whoosh and whoosh whoosh, and then down to the next stacker, whoosh whoosh and whoosh whoosh, and buzz buzz. And then this would be the exit that I have coming out of the bottom stacker, the hot, going down here into this little outlet. I guess I'm going to rig that up on the side of my little wooden box. And my question is, these can be regular wires, or are they supposed to be nano wires? And this again is a 15 amp little plug gadget, and I have no clue which one of these things to connect it to. So hopefully somebody on this website or Google will tell me that. I don't know whether I have this in the right place or not. So, and then I got one of these. This said something about also having some sort of a breaker signal type of a thing on it. So I thought that might be good for our plug-in site. And then of course the most important thing of all is to have a good glass of wine and a good glass of humor. A good glass of humor? A good dose of humor. And open heart and giggle a lot because, yeah, because it can. So eventually all that's going to go in here, and I'll put the capacitors on the side, maybe the little outlet box on the other side once I figure out some of these things. So I love that everybody's able to connect on the Facebook page and give me input each time I have a question on something. So hoping there will be some input from people on where I'm going with this and what my next questions are. So, thank everybody and good night. Say good night, Linda.
Good night.